Okay.
So you did hear a random talk about fruit from Isimos and Olivine, Quinn.
Yep. My dogs won't open.
Nice.
Okay.
PC, stop taking a shit at this moment.
They're
Okay.
trying to have a
Okay.
scene.
Okay, I got it open.
Okay. So what does Quinn say?
We're talking something about fruit.
Yes, of
Well,
course. Yes. That Olivine's guild house name has the weirdest and saddest name? It's called House Durian. Why would they name themselves after a really, really bad fruit?
Doria.
Dude, I just look at Olivine like, are you serious?
Oliver just shrugs.
Okay,
It's like-
and you both of you do notice that Kyon is awfully quiet and he just has a smirk on his face.
It is at that moment that Olivine realizes something. It looks to Quinn, or not to Quinn, but to Keon.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing that smirk, she just kind of frowns a little.
Well, Lisa Mills,
Quinn.
how y'all liking the Munchkin? Oh yes, she's actually quite fun. I just feel sorry for her.
Olivine says, "Indeed."
Just a cold indeed. And Quinn
Anyway.
Quinn just looks at Olivine and gives like this kind of half nonchalant, half dismissive shrug, like you get used to it.
Anyway,
Right. What do I owe the pleasure? The cowboy here wasn't exactly open.
it was in regards to your inquiries earlier this evening. I spoke
What?
with Keon about them because I wasn't quite sure what you were getting at. So it would seem that I was perhaps missing something, so I asked him for a bit more information, and it comes to find out that I'm receiving conflicting information on something that perhaps you can clear up.
Okay, just swallow, Ron.
Okay, good.
Conflicting information.
Yes, but first, let me explain a little bit about how House Dimdori operates for this to make a bit more sense.
That's exactly what I wanted to know.
When
Please, go on ahead.
Yes, when we receive reports in regards to supernatural entities hiding amongst men, such as, fae, vampires, fiends, and so on, we dispatch teams of 2 to investigate, of which one of the 2 is an investigator who goes in first to investigate to gather as much information as possible. And once that person has seen sufficient information that either the reports are true and that it is absolute certainty that they are dealing with an entity such as this, at which point then they would then send in their partner to eliminate the mark. Or if at any point there's any degree of doubt that it's not true, either further observation is then required to decide if this is indeed the case, or if it was a case of just mistaken report or incorrect information. But anyway, so upon learning that the mark is indeed a supernatural entity and is a threat to those around it, we would then send in our partner to dispatch them. At which case, that is what happened 7 years ago when I was sent to that town. What's the name of the town again?
Sepke.
Sepke. With Catherine.
Right, you did mention that you have been working with her for quite some time, and that procedure sounds exactly, well, as down to the book as it goes. I'm not too unfamiliar with it either. Only difference being I don't deal with exactly beings that specialized.
Yes,
What
we're
of it
very
then?
particular about our marks.
So it sounds.
Yes, and with myself being on the information end of the team, I'm very thorough with my investigations and with my debriefings and reporting. I take this information gathering and dissemination very seriously, which is why I found it all the more concerning when I spoke with Kyon that the information I was gathering from Catherine conflicted with his own.
I look at Kion. Kion, what is this about?
Well,
7 years ago, the mark that we were given was in Eric Gaines.
does Quinn respond to that?
He just freezes up for a moment. Goes like, "Where?"
Austin Doria had received several reports about what seemed to be a fiend in the area, and given the delicate nature of those within Sevki, we were particularly dispatched, the two of us, because of our notoriety as far as being more clean, as far as the handling the more delicate issues. However, it would appear, given what Kyon said, that things did not go nearly as clean as I was originally told it to be. So I was hoping that you could perhaps clarify a bit of what actually happened. Because as far as I've heard it, the report from Catherine was that she eliminated the mark without incident. Though first I should say that upon my investigations into these Eric Gaines, I had observed him for several days, at which point I found that he appeared to be some sort of spellcaster, having used magic on multiple occasions, particularly the haste spell, which I suspect is what he used to get away from his targets.
You're wrong.
No, I'm quite certain that this is what I saw.
I've known, well, knew him since childhood.
And you're sure that he would not know these sorts of magics?
Well, this is what this is about. I can't say with absolute certainty, no. Of course, I didn't know what happened during the time I was absent.
Yes.
What matches?
Sorry, go on.
What matches is the fact that it was impossible to catch him. He was like a shadow, a phantom.
Yes, and from what I observed, he cast his magic quite masterfully, so I had assumed that he must have always had this magical adapt to be so talented.
To me, and to anyone, me or anyone close to us who would have known him cared about, he had physical prowess above my own. He was a brawler, a physical combatant, a fighter, a dogged inquisitor, an inquisitive soul into everything that he knew. And Quinn stands up and kind of takes a step closer. So what the hell are you on about?
Well, during my investigations, I learned that without any doubt that he was absolutely a fiend. I had assumed that either he had always been a fiend or a fiend had replaced him at one point, perhaps such like as a Rakshasa or something to that degree. Though I didn't think too much more of it after that, after having confirmed that in fact this was a fiend that we were dealing with. I then returned to Catherine to send her in to eliminate the mark, and going off of her own report, that she herself eliminated the target without incident. Although I noticed that it had taken a bit longer than it had expected, but she said that that was due to the target being more difficult to dispatch than she originally anticipated. Although, according to Kion, that this is not how this went down. Would you care to elaborate of what actually happened from your own
No.
account?
Not even close. I was still a young lad then. Well, younger, but well, I guess all bets are off now. I can look across the room.
Quinn, Quinn,
Yeah.
Quinn, it's here. You notice that Kion seems to be looking down.
I noticed, but don't pay. Just kind of glance at him. But
Does Olivine notice this?
Yep.
I'm gonna roll an inside check on Kion
Olivine will as well.
in this case. I usually don't, but this is something that. Have we gotten a long rest, by the way?
Not yet.
Okay.
I'll-
Wow.
But you actually beat me!
Again. 25, 28.
23 and 28.
Well, no,
Or 25, yeah.
It makes sense. He knows him better than you.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Kion did just dupe you into like bring the this with you.
Yeah.
The fruit dits. How's Darian?
Gosh, I love this scene. I just freaking love this. But anyway,
Yep.
so from what you can see, from what both of you can observe, let's see here. Let's see. It's a bit harder for Olivine to read him because of how his hat is. You can see him frowning a bit, like as if he's like a bit serious. But with how he's wearing his hat, Quinn, you can just notice that he actually shows a bit of pity.
Not gonna lie, that's actually pretty funny. Olivan, the inquisitive rogue, foiled by a hat.
Yep.
Oh, I missed.
Yeah, not a counter spell, but a counter hat.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Very well. I shall recount the events as I wrote them down to my superiors and those that have seen the reports.
I appreciate it and thank you. And I apologize for having you to recall such difficult times. Olivine would take out some parchment or something and begin to take notes in regards of what Quinn says from here forward.
Okay. You also, let's see here, Olivine, you notice Quinn like shift his head a little bit, looking towards across from him, and Isimos immediately understands and like walks around this way, and he nods.
Indeed, 7 years ago, I had finished my training within the same corps as Kiontak here, and had, well, as a young and naive I showed a fair bit of talent in what I did. That is why this mission was assigned to me, from what I can tell. It was a nostalgic one, back to all the way to the town I was born. And it was... I can't even recall much, but as I arrived and had read the case details of what had occurred many times, there was a serial killer and a serial rapist at loose, seemingly human, shaped, toned, fit, and male. in my being the busybody that I was, I hadn't had time to look into the events of my own hometown. Hadn't been able to keep up with anyone or anything really. And it was like a normal case. I investigated for a couple of days as I arrived ad incognitum, undercover, looking for clues. Yeah.
Would Olivine have noticed him during this time, considering they were both watching the same person? Like, thinking back, given his recount, would she recall having seen anybody else also watching? That she might have dismissed at the time.
Basically, Olivine noticed that the area was on a bit of a higher alert because of what's been happening. But she didn't exactly notice particular individuals, just knows like general guards.
Alright, just checking. Yeah, sorry, go on.
We need a super spy.
Obviously there was lots of security. I had seen the scene once before in my life when I was a young lad, before I even joined the spy corps or the army. And I figured that it must be a pretty serious case, considering, regarding a fairly skilled individual. I considered assassins, I considered habitual killers, I considered even shapeshifters that might have been relevant to the case. And I investigated the spots. I was fairly throughout in my search, but I found nothing. And there was a mansion in town, just at the bottom of a hill, where, one of my two back then friends, Alina von Ardfield, lived. She had become the lady of the house, I noticed, but I didn't bother to go and talk to her about the situation. I was afraid of escalating it at the time. As my investigation went further and further, and I came to notice that the assailant knew the streets like their own back pockets, like they lived there for all of their lives. And, this led me to investigate the back alleys, the slums, as you would, on the higher side. Geographically speaking.
Yes, this matches up with my observations as well. But yes, sorry, continue.
At the time, I also ran across my own home, which, turned out that was my biggest downfall, my biggest lead. Just before I had arrived, another assault had happened. The latest one in which a wonderful lady had passed away, with the surname Tolker. My mother had personally witnessed this appalling individual. From there, I wanted to continue the investigation, and I meant to go to the slums, but that evening I was under too much mental stress. I broke down, as ashamed as I am to admit it.
Okay, Quinn.
Olivine sort of shifts uncomfortably and glances aside.
Quinn, you feel an arm on your shoulder, on your right shoulder.
Hmm.
You see Keon patting you in the back a little bit.
You're right.
Well, it makes sense if he's yeah.
Basically, he had to turn like all the way around just to be able to like pat you in the back because he
Yep.
only has the right arm.
Yeah. Yeah, like he's looking the opposite direction that I am, basically.
Yep.
It's alright, Kion.
I am sorry for having you recall such painful memories, but the information is appreciated, and I'm sorry. But do continue.
In the end, I always wondered as to why it had to be that way, but in the end, I think I finally understand. Because of that very same emotional chokehold that I was in, I happened to find a quiet spot near one of the alleys where I used to go to as a kid, and just screamed and until I couldn't see anything but white. Screamed until the sun went down and the city square quieted down, till there was nothing but pain in my vocal cords, so I couldn't scream anymore. A very primitive solution, I know, but you of all people should know that. We need to steal our hearts and carry on with our missions and assignments no matter what happens.
Yes, I've had to witness and experience some difficult things during my assignments as well, but nothing to that degree. That's horrible.
Later.
I'm so sorry, Quinn.
It's alright. I'm curious as to where this will lead, if I'm being honest.
It's very important. I wouldn't be drudging this up otherwise.
The back alley was but a couple blocks from the Artville, the von Artville mansion. As ironic that was, that's where I ran into one of my, well, the guiding light that I guess managed to anchor me down then and there. I got myself out of the back alley and wondered what to do with my evening. Should I continue the investigation or what? I felt like complete garbage. I had no idea what to do with the so-called expertise that I had been trained in. It was dusk. I exited the back alley and covered in muck and grime from the alley, and it so happens that a certain noble was walking the main street on her way back to her mansion from her evening chores, escorted by a pair of guards. I only heard a voice and I got a kick to my abdomen. Or was it ribs? I don't remember. And they thought that I was the assailant. But that was quickly dismissed as the lady of the house vouched for me. Alina. I was stupid back then. Stupid in every single meaning of the word. She was surprised we both were in equal amount. Why I was wearing these new fancy clothes, and she was more pretty than ever, wearing the signature of House von Artfield. She had become the lady of the house and noblesse, and she recognized me and took me immediately, offered me a drink and a place to stay if I didn't have one, and well, in the absence of mind, I went and accepted, since I exactly don't like the feeling of sleeping with ghosts.
It's understandable. We all have our moments of weakness and seek comfort.
Back then it was even, well, tragedy befalls us all, but you really don't understand it until it befalls you, personally. The evening was spent mostly me listening to her monologue, just wondering how far she'd gotten with everything she wanted to do, and well, due to the nature of my job, I stuck to code. I asked if anything was wrong, and I felt true sadness from her. She felt like almost like a radiant light, like something that I'd been yearning and craving for a long time, which doesn't exactly go hand in hand with us and our occupation. I, however, felt like she was my best lead, so I exchanged information with her. It was the second floor of just past the second floor foyer of the mansion, and like a living room, very lavish, and just thinking back to that day brings me solace as much as it brings me grief and pain. Later on that night, I decided to put my investigation on hold, and as unprofessional as it is, I chose to just enjoy myself. We drank some red wine and just let our worries slip away, talked of whatever came across our mind, and I was thinking that she really is something that fits her kind of existence. She wasn't exactly the most liked noble, but I personally liked the way she wanted to reform everything that stood for injustice in not just in Sevke and the oligarchy and the elitist noble circles that had existed long since, but she was a revolutionist. She drove change, which obviously brought her enemies.
She sounds like she is a very principled woman.
Was indeed. And Quinn just looks down for a bit and says that
I
Had
won't
I-
judge you for your decisions that you've made during something like this. You'd been through a lot.
I know. I just wonder if what would have been, what she could have done if nothing had happened.
Olivine glances to her hand. I have similar thoughts myself sometimes. If things were different, it would have been.
Well, as has been established, there was still a serial killer. Well, the report said serial rapist. But as has been established, this individual had piqued the interest of Cleve Soul's elite, those who purged the rotten apples from the canister or the basket. Quinn kind of like slouches down, sits down again. It was dark at this point. We had talked for several hours and we decided that it would be time to lay down for the evening. I was going to head out at dawn the next morning. So I exited. I thanked her for her care and everything that she had offered, and just thanked her for the chat. She escorted me to the door, the double doors that were led to the foyer, and I headed to the guest room down the grand stairs. There was a pair of guards by the front door and another one, from what I could recall, near the back door. So I figured that what could happen? She would be safe. Nothing. She...
I had a similar line of reasoning when I made my mistake that cost me my life. That everything was fine. That I had the situation under control. All the angles covered, all the possibilities. But I was wrong. And it cost me my life.
How wrong both of us were.
Indeed.
The outside air was cold. I remember there was an open window that one of the servants was finishing up closing and locked up the latch, and I asked where the guest bedroom was, and she showed me and then was on her way. Escorted by a guard, of course. And I walked down the corridor and it was quiet until I heard a crash. Quinn kind of just waves off, or like his voice just kind of fades out.
What happened?
There, I was confused at the time. I had laid my rifle down and was still carrying my pistols. I was going to put those down, but I called out. I remember calling out, "Excuse me," Excuse me. Hello. My voice just echoing in the open hall. Just me and my voice. Thinking that
No
Of
guards?
guards were at every entrance, but in the foyer at least, I didn't see any where I was.
Interesting. Sorry, go on.
I don't know the reasoning for that. Could be that the noblesse had requested privacy, or that everyone thought that it would be secure enough if entrances and exits were covered. Humans are foolish. I got no response, and I wondered, where did it come from? I didn't even suspect what I would find. I had attached my half taken off cowl, and I pointed the there's a wardrobe, kind of like a desk, the corner. It's folded up there neatly. I reattached that and went with a half brisk, half anxious pace up the staircase. And as I did, I heard a banging sound, like something would have hit against something wooden, and I heard sounds of a struggle. And at that moment, I fell into disbelief for probably not longer than half a second, but I remember that point, my mind just went white. I unholstered my left firearm and burst in the door. The door hadn't been locked, thankfully. I can only assume that the assailant hadn't made it that far. As I went in the room, I ran into the scene of the lady of the house being ragdolled and, well, what I attempted to intercept. I didn't see the assailant's face clearly. Looked to be a weirdly tinted skin and very muscular, sleeveless outfit, darkish leathers from what I can recall, and she and Alina, as I went in, I remember just attempting to take aim and fire, but I was very quickly, gun was knocked out of my hand and I was essentially just chucked across the room. The powerful kick. Why am I laughing?
So at this point, you probably notice that Olivine has both a serious and almost angry expression on her face. She's listening very intently.
As I was flying, I went into shock and I just felt my heart pumping faster than it's probably ever been. Adrenaline just flew in through my body and flew against one of the statuettes that were placed to the corner of the room. I slammed into it and was pinned under. I only heard desperate cries, and which turned into distorted and eventually muffled, gargles, just guttural noises. And I saw as a man with a skin very akin to a half-orc, the shattered window on the second story. His build. It was him. I recognized him at an instant. He had gotten more muscular and stronger, clearly more agile as well, but the power of that kick was. I touched my left side of my rib cage.
Thinking back, his movements,
Yes,
were they unnaturally fast?
not so fast. Perhaps his reactions and reflexes, but what surprised me the most was his strength, just sheer brutish strength. I can think that kick broke a rib or two as it connected. I don't recall. He was agile, but I can't tell you if it was from magic or not. He's not the type to use magic, though. Never has been. But despite all of the lessons that Kion and my other superiors and drill sergeants had given, and always staying cool, well, there was one instructor who I respected, nowadays colleague, that I respected. I haven't seen him in a while, though. His name was Karja, but he was irrelevant here. I tried to, in a fraction of a moment, I attempted to recall everything that I had been trained, everything I had been instructed, and all of it was just blanked out by anxiety and panic. Just sheer panic wrestled from my control. I noticed that my left hand was pinned under the statuette. My pistol had flown somewhere where I didn't see it. Ironic enough, that's my dominant hand even. I lift my arm up and look at it, and it's visibly shaking. So, in that blind moment of panic and not knowing what to do, I suppose my instincts took hold. Save her. Save her. Save her. Saw nothing but white when I closed my eyes. And as I opened them, I was looking through the iron side of my other gun. The other customized flintlock I have had. Still have. And I pulled it. Have you ever heard, I suppose you two have, but the sound of of a bullet, an intense spark of lead, piercing, severing, savaging, and simply destroying bone, cartilage, and internal organs. That was the first time I'd heard it.
It's not a sound that you get used to. It's a sound that you just deal with. I, on my occasions, have had to use my weapon to defend myself. I know exactly what you're talking about.
With fiends, well,
it's a bit different, yes.
With humans, it's, well, I suppose with shapeshifter it's the same thing, but it's not the blood. It's not the haunting, timeless expression that those individuals have on their faces and that are growing cold as you look at them. You get used to all of that. You force your heart to grow cold and force yourself to. I suppose it's a way to keep your sanity in check in this occupation.
You have to numb it out.
Exactly.
So what exactly happened when you fired?
He buries his, like, the back of his skull in his hands, kind of like pulling him, like, himself down. Kind of like a winch. Self-operating winch. I don't remember. All
It's fine, don't worry.
I'm getting flashbacks of.
Kion had told me that there was a body that remained after you had dispatched him. I'm going to assume that this is true and in your account.
I still remember his crazed face to this day. Those crazy eyes. I think he said something to me, but I can't recall what. I just remember the name Quinn. Said out in a very spiteful tone. And I remember the night-ravaged body of Alina. She looked like a fallen angel. Her ethereals were almost ripped open.
It's terrible. This should not have happened. This should not have happened.
But this behavior, the one answer I was seeking for is yes. The woman that I suppose I had feelings for, and the man that helped me survive. And that bound us together. Makes no sense. And now
You remained.
I'm there in that room. There's no wildlife, no nothing, just sound of a grandfather clock and gigantic pool of blood. Wouldn't stifle. It wouldn't stop. And the neck of. She died from a broken neck. And I was there, in the middle of two bodies, of the very much the only people that I had known since childhood.
Olivine shakes her head a few times. This doesn't seem right, but I'm not going to question your account. I can tell that you're very sincere that this is absolutely what happened. Fiends don't generally leave behind a body, so this is very strange. I believe Catherine has some answering to do.
Yes.
I believe...
Yes, there was 2 bodies. Both of them. One with a bleeding puddle and another one in her nightgown. With a haunting, crying face, crying expression, screaming for help. Don't you dare tell me that either of them were fiends.
I had informed Catherine the night before of this. She should have been able to find him before then. She has some answers that need to be... Or she's done some questions she needs to answer. Because this should not have happened. She should have engaged the target before this ever happened.
Yes. Based on your account.
Something's
Yes.
not right here.
May I have a moment?
Yes, I'm
I need...
very sorry, but this is going to be very helpful. I apologize for having you recall something so painful,
I understand.
but
The
This is-
motives.
this is something, a loose end that we both have that need to be tied.
You know, I had almost come to peace with it. I had almost found a way to chain myself into the deepest depths of acceptance and simply accept the fact that I'll never... It's just another unsolved case, right? Never
No.
will we find the answer to this, and
No, this will not be an unsolved case.
even now, when I recall that twisted and mangled windpipe and the flowing dark red blood that more than supposedly flowed from his corroded artery.
We'll find some answers. I'll give you some time to, sort yourself out, but I believe that we need to speak with Catherine. So I'll be outside when you're ready. And with that, Olive would, put away her writings and, pack up and head out the room and wait.
Whoops. Hyun goes ahead and nods to Isamos. She follows Olivine out.
Kyon's not even looking up. He hears the steps, but he's...
Quinn, you mean?
Oh, Quinn, yeah. He's visibly trembling.
Let's see here. He taps you. Let's see here. He pats you on the shoulder and makes his way out for a little bit.
Before you go, Kyon,
What does it get?
you still have both my firearms, right?
You said it wrong.
No, I still have possession of both.
Yes. You said you still have both of my firearms. Not I still have both of your firearms.
Right. No, because we
Yeah, you
basically
got
we basically exchanged firearms. Right? You're in possession of mine currently, and I'm in possession of yours.
Yeah. So
Right.
well, he has a pistol of warning.
Ah, okay. Okay, I just assumed that was the one that I gave to him. Okay.
But he does have one of your regular pistols.
Okay.
He's not really using it. He just has it holstered.
Yeah, they swap things. I think.
You know,
So he checks out.
What is it, kid?
you said that you gave Quenivar and Isolde to me to, well, for safekeeping, I guess. And so you could move on, right? I think it's time that I do something about the pistol that has the eternal bloodstains. About something, I'd do something about it too. Mind leaving it here? We'll find you a new set of guns. I don't think I need it anymore.
Of course, kid.
Thanks.
He reaches behind him and pulls out the pistol.
Quinn extend before he places on a pistol. Before he places on the table, Quinn extends his right arm, kind of just weakly.
Sorry.
Okay,
I'm
Please.
fine.
please.
Give it to me. I'll handle it. It's something personal after all. Wouldn't want to just leave it laying out.
He spins it around and hands it to you with the butt facing you. Long as you promise me you don't do anything stupid with it. I trust you, Quinn.
Quinn, as he says that, Quinn kind of snaps out of, Keon sees that Quinn kind of snaps out, essentially just, shakes a little bit. Or, not shakes, but, twitches a little bit. And then he says, Keon, I hadn't even thought about that until you brought it up. I guess I've just had repressed memories for too long.
Needless. We'll get our answers once we speak with the mute, Catherine.
Well, for that, and just to make you feel comforting, I guess. And Quinn takes his satchel that he has on his right side, unbuckles it from the side so he can grab it in his hand and tosses it at Kion. There, and looks up. You can see his eyes are red. The veins of the blood veins are blood veins. Blood vessels are very clearly visible in his eyes.
Eyes are shot. I getcha.
Yeah, eyes are shot, and it's there's all the ammunition that I have currently in my pack. Oh my god, my Chrome is not fucking functioning. Let me use my character sheet.
Let's try that again.
FFS.
You can count them if you want. 72 adamantine, 27 silver, 229 iron musket,
Nah, I don't need
30 silver pistol,
Nah, I don't need
and 5.
Like I said, I trust you.
Just to be sure. And he looks up and takes the pistol with both hands and puts the finger on the trigger kind of like holding it so that the barrel of the pistol is on his open palm, and then pulls the slide back quickly and flicks the pistol to the side so that the chamber opens and you hear this as the rounds from the 4 rounds from the pistol's chamber empty and fall to the floor. And then Quinn, while the cylinder is still like out in the open, he places it next to him, about like half a foot, like on the floor, just to give you a peace of mind.
Take as much time as you want. Alright, Quinn.
We have limited time after all, don't we? But I appreciate it.
He nods and takes his leave. He softly closes the door behind him.
As about like 10 seconds pass, and you just hear this. You just hear like this, like something standing up, and you just hear this almost animalistic, just agonizing scream. Justin goes on for that transitions into just unbridled, just like screams and crying, and you hear a couple, like probably a couple things tossed around as well.
Olivine just waits silently.
And after about what feels like a couple minutes, it quiets down. It simmers down a little bit. And then about 30 seconds from there, it's just pitch silence. There's nothing.
So, Munchkin.
Yes?
What do you think of all this?
Catherine's good. I informed her the night before that our mark is indeed a fiend and for her to move in. Generally, it only takes her a few hours before she comes back. For her to have been gone over a day was strange. I cannot help but wonder that something went wrong, but she didn't tell me what. Because had everything gone accordingly, this event would not have happened. I'm very curious what actually happened.
I also felt that about her as well.
Yes, prior to this event, she had a perfect record. She was clean, fast, always took out the mark without incident. Though I did notice that after the house was exiled from Cliff Solace, that she became a bit, I wouldn't say sloppy, but not as neat. I cannot help but wonder that if something that happened during her encounter with this fiend led to that, or if she encountered the fiend at all. We need to ask her some questions about this.
Well, she was assigned to the room south of us here.
Perhaps you should check on Quinn and see if he's ready to go. Because I'm very eager to speak with Catherine about this.
And I just realized this. I'll be over here. My bad.
I just had a bit of dark humor pop into my head, and suddenly bang.
Quinn, no!
We needed you. Okay. What do y'all think, Isamos? It's just really sad. I didn't know that he was holding such a burden with him.
I couldn't have imagined. He went through something horrible. And I cannot help but feel frustrated that this could have been prevented somehow. Knowing that I was indirectly involved with this does not sit well with me.
But still, y'all saw two different things. You all saw that he was a fiend, but wow, was there a body?
Yes, his account there was very much a human. Well, half-orc, but yes. So I believe we should get some answers then. And Olive just slowly starts walking down the hall towards Catherine's room. Oh, and Itimos, might I borrow you still towards the end of this? Granted, I do not entirely trust Quinn to keep a level head, depending on what she may have to say. So he may be restrained. I do not believe that it may come to that, but let's just be safe about it.
Of course.
And thank you.
Is it safe to bring Quinn out now, or? She looks concerned towards Quinn's door.
Kyun?
What? Hello? What was that?
She looks concerned towards Kyon, you
No,
said.
I said Quinn's
Quinn,
door.
you said.
I said
Yeah.
Quinn's door.
Through the
Oh,
door.
it's Quinn's door. We didn't hear door. You cut out.
Oh, I agree.
That's like.
Sorry, what? Did someone say something?
Yes, I said. Isamos like asked like if it's safe to take Quinn out now.
Who was that directed at? Like,
She directed to
Oliver.
Olivine and Kyon.
okay.
And as she looks concerned towards Quinn's door.
Oh, yeah, okay. I thought, okay, never mind.
Well, I'll just stay over here. Y'all can go on over, speak with Catherine, while I wait for Quinn. Alright.
Right. Thank you, Kyun. And sorry for the hassle.
He tips his hat at you.
We will get to the bottom of this and find out what really happened. And with that, Olivine continues down the hall.
All right. After speaking with some of the servants in the mansion, they were able to like direct you to the room that Catherine was assigned to. You stand right before her door.
I gently knock on the door.
You don't hear anything, but you see the door slowly creak open. Who's there?
It's Olive and Isimos. Might I have a word with you?
The door closes for a little bit. You hear some rattling, and the door opens before you. Yes.
And I come on in. Olivine enters with it.
Nice place you have here so far. You've really made yourself quite well lived in. Was that wallpaper always like that? Catherine is just looks blankly at Isimos. Olivine, you notice that that some of the wallpaper has been torn a little bit and seems to be in the process of some new wallpaper being put in.
Olivine makes note that it's interesting that she moves so quickly. But at the same time, not surprised. Catherine likes to have her space a particular way.
Surprised, but not surprised.
Yep.
Miss Isimos, we met at the... What brings you all here?
Well, I'm going to be frank with you. It's about conflicting information with a report that was given to me from you.
Conflicting reports. What do you mean? Can anyone hear me?
Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Azza, did you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we can hear you.
It's
no
in
worries.
regards to the mark that we had in Setkev 7 years ago.
Sevke.
Sevke.
Sevke. Yes. That was the... Yes. That was the... fiend that was... doing all the underground matches and murders.
Yes. Eric Gaines, I believe, was the mark.
Yes, that was the one. If I recall, I eliminated him in that mansion.
Tell me exactly how that happened,
Of course.
in detail, if you would please.
Vibes. That night, after I received the report from you, I observed his movements. Apparently, he had frequented that mansion for some reason. Perhaps friends with the noble lady. I was able to see if I could perhaps isolate him without any witnesses. I was able to bring about some false information to some of the guards, as well as the servants, to stay away from the foyer. It was very
Yes,
easy.
and
It was very easy to imitate some of the handwriting of several of the people. So, once everything was prepared, You immediately notice that she's holding that she placed a hand on her forehead. I'm sorry.
In the insight checker.
Do a roll insight. Okay.
32.
You notice that she feels pain, like actual physical pain.
Are you alright?
Yes.
There's something wrong with your head.
My apologies.
What happened after that?
I saw the target. For some reason, rather than coming in through the entrance like he normally does. He
Wait,
broke it.
you said like he normally does.
Yes.
So he's visited her a number of times?
Yes.
Alright, continue.
He ended up breaking through one of the windows. From what you see, she blanks out a little bit. It's as if like a deer in the headlights expression.
Would I suspect that it's somehow memory tampering? As if the effect of some sort of spell?
Roll Arcana.
Dead.
Nope.
And our friggin' Arcana expert over here is busy in the library.
I really need to get proficiency in that.
Yep. By the way, that's the wrong modifier. Your Arcana is a +3 only.
Oh, whoops. So, even less than that is 6.
So it's a 6. Let's see here. So.
Oh, I miss.
So. She continues. I got into a bit of a game of cat and mouse with him.
Oh. What happened?
From what I recall, I ended up having to chase him down a little bit around the mansion. Fortunately, I was a bit more prepared, telling more of the servants and the guards to mostly stay at the outside, at the entrances. But that does strike me as odd. Why did any of the guards come in once the window broke? Although that made it all the more
It is
convenient
odd.
for me.
So, how did the actual illumination of the mark go? How did you do it?
It's a bit of a blur for some reason. I just remember.
It's not like you to forget these things. You generally recount them in great detail.
Of course. I had a perfect record back then, after all. I think I recall.
Your movements, their actions, their reactions. You always know this.
I think I had shot him in the chest a couple of times. Afterwards.
Yeah, isn't it?
Afterwards.
After?
I'm not sure. I just recall sitting in a tavern afterwards.
How did you get from the mansion to the tavern?
That's She steps back a little bit. as she's holding her forehead again.
I don't recognize any of this sort of behavior. It's very clearly odd.
You notice though, now that you think about it, you actually also recall that that she had difficulties actually writing the report as well. From the report, it specifically said that after she had fired on Eric Gaines, he managed to escape. She followed him all the way out of town, and even into the forests.
Interesting. And what happened there?
No. Remember, I'm just like telling you what the report said.
Right.
Okay, right. From there, according to her report, that was when she essentially had to essentially like fight him, not quite as an assassin, taking marks, but as a one-on-one fight. Proper.
So what she's recalling right now is not even accurate to the report.
Mm-hmm.
So this is 3 different stories. I just spoke with Kyon and Quinn, and the recount of what happened to Eric Gaines is very different than what you've given me. And what you've given me right now is actually very different than what was you given me in your report. This is 3 conflicting stories. What happened that night, Catherine? What really happened?
I don't know why, but every time I try to think of that, my head hurts.
Do you think something might have happened to your memories? That maybe you recall of the event, what happened, isn't quite what happened? Perhaps when you engaged with this fiend, perhaps it tampered with your mind.
There's no way it could have. I'm not that sloppy. There's.
That you remember.
Could it really be?
Could it be possible that this fiend got the better of you?
I see. If that's true, that means my record wasn't perfect even back then.
Yes, because after this incident, you got a bit sloppy, didn't you? Did this fiend do something to you?
What if...
Try to think back. When you fought it, did it use any sort of magic? Do you recall any spells, anything like that?
I had used a mage masher knife to throw at him. It was supposed to disable his spells, but what if it wasn't a spell that afflicted me?
What else could it have been? Think, Catherine.
There is something known in I believe it was the Abjuration School?
I know that you're more familiar with magic than me. You might know what have happened.
No, I'm wrong. It's the enchantment school, of course. It's something called alter memories.
Well, judging by how much you are struggling to recall, I think it's pretty obvious that something's not right with your memory. While I can't say that I understand these effects or what could have caused it, I'd be willing to bet that this might be what happened to you. Think to your symptoms. Think about the spell. How does it work? Are you feeling the sorts of effects that it might cause?
It shouldn't cause this much pain, especially after that long of a.
Isamos,
Yes?
do you notice anything odd about Catherine, magically speaking?
Okay. She thrusts both of her palms forward towards Catherine. Well, that's different.
Different how?
Well, I know that she's an elf and all, and I should feel remnants of Fae in there, but there was something foul specifically in her brain.
She's cursed, isn't she?
Got it. Got it.
Not really sure. I can only detect whether or not they are afflicted with something.
Is anybody here an expert in curses and afflictions?
I'd probably ask the High Priestess.
I think we should go do that now. Come, let's gather Kyon and Quinn and see what we can learn about this.
If I might ask a question to DM,
What's up?
does Olivine recall Catherine being different at any point before this mission?
Yes. She was precise. She had a perfect record. She never made mistakes. But after this mission, she seemed to be a little bit more sloppy.
But the demeanor in general has been the same, right?
Same old Catherine, far as she's aware.
Same.
Okay,
Okay.
gotcha. Alright.
Well, the High Priestess should be in the library. Come with me.
With me if you want to live.
And so we go with her, but before that, we will collect Kyon and Quinn.
Well, y'all brought me with you this time.
Yes, I suspect that during the encounter with this fiend, that it had somehow altered her memory or messed with her mind in some way with perhaps a curse or an affliction. Ethamos here believes that she senses something off about it. And we're going to go seek the priestess that she mentioned to see if we can have this removed and perhaps get light of what really happened that evening. Because I'm receiving 3 different stories. One from the report given, one from her account, and then one from Kyon's account.
Mute, y'all looking alright there, you're turning a little pale. You notice that she's actually beginning to sweat profusely.
She's what?
She's beginning to sweat profusely.
This does not look good. We should hurry.
Well. Hey kid, we're gonna have to expedite your quiet time.
Better allow that divine sense.
I was already thinking that off. Emmy.
What do you mean?
Come, we need to go to the library.
Sure.
Something's wrong with Catherine.
With her? Sure. Quinn's just pretty much on, just not unresponsive, but very quiet.
I imagine wouldn't look at Catherine Quinn would notice that something's up. She doesn't look odd.
Like, I did, and that's why he's coming along.
You know, and she's
I have a
looking kind of
question.
pale considering that she is, you know, brown-skinned.
Mm-hmm.
I have a
Oh yeah,
question.
then we very much hurry to the library.
Uh-huh.
Alright, what is it, Emmy?
How thin are the walls?
Huh?
How thin are the walls? I assume versus in her room.
Yep, she's in her room.
Just
Might have
wondering
made a
how-
bit of a
each,
connection.
Each wall is
heard
each wall is
anything.
about 5 feet 5 feet thick.
Ah, so fairly
Thick
thick.
stone.
Stone. Bricks and stone, yeah.
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
So I imagine we then go to the library. What's next?
Okay. You all managed to like head on over to the library, and Akifi, while you were studying under Nefertank, you see this entourage come in. Margarita and Vatos as well see this. Oh, great.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
Remember what I
makes
said though?
Okay, with that being said, let's see here. We'll go ahead and like have a break for a little bit, okay?
Okay, I remember what I said though.